Hello everyone and welcome to Nerd Goblin Art. I'm Lula. I have this awesome mould that I found on Temu. It is linked down below and I'm going to go for the chuck it all in method. And I'm going to be using Chameleon Flakes Dragon by the Tiny Turner. I've got Let's Resin, the silver metallic, and also from the Tiny Turner I have Eclipse and Galaxy, and they are available from Toon Pish Crafts. They will all be listed below. Everything I use where possible will be listed. So I have an 11, very near 12-year-old who is obsessed with space and planets and stuff like that. And when I saw this mold on Temu, I was like, I must have it. And this is just for her. I will make others. I will make this mold again in different sorts of ways, but this specifically is for my youngest child. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Dragon is absolutely beautiful. And I'm mainly letting the static from the silicone mold take over here. I don't mind where it's really landing or anything of the sort. It's very much a Claire from Claire's Crafty Corner thing where we just chuck it all in. And it's something that I love doing. It is great fun. If you've been doing like lots of like heavy base projects, there's nothing more fun than just chucking a bunch of colours in and letting it do as it, well, resin does what resin will all the time, but you know, this gives it even more control. It's just letting go. You don't have the control on how it's really gonna look, not really, at the end. And it is good fun. And as you can see, I have put some card down underneath the molds on top of my silicone mat, and that's just for an easier cleanup at the end. The silver Let's Resin I find is terrible to clean. The product is absolutely awesome, but unlike the Tiny Turner pigments, they clean up really well from the silicone mats, but that silver metallic is a bit of a, you've got to use elbow grease to get it out of your silicone mat. So if you do happen to have that stuff, just be wary of that, especially if you're using like a black silicone mat. I will be putting my new blue one underneath. I'm finding that one really nice at the moment. And as you can see, I converted from basically turning on the brush and flick it, and I'm actually like splaying, is that a word? I can't think of the word. My brain's gone. It's just gone. But I'm basically flicking the end of the brush, and it is giving me a bit of a different kind of look. Well, I think it is anyway. So giving it a good, go over. I'm also going to I'm going to have a look to see what I have in my bag of trips. I say tricks. Did I say trips? I meant tricks. So this is just a pouch that, like one of those pencil case things. Those are glow in the dark stars and like moons and stuff. This is just where I put a bunch of like, I don't like getting sequins and glitter in pouches, but this is how they come. And I write jazz, so I just keep them in here. And I was just trying to decide if I could add anything else in a little bit different. Spoiler alert, we don't get to see these ever again. I thought that, they were going to be on the mold and we might see them a little bit and they might pick up a little on glow in the dark, but they're lost forever. And I only used a few, and I chose not to put any in the actual moon, just in the smaller parts. Did I say this is a wind chime? I know the title says it, and you might be like me and you don't pay any attention whatsoever to titles. But yes, this is a wind chime, by the way, just in case you wondered. And my daughter, as I was saying, my daughter absolutely loves everything about space, and she soaks up all the information and then tells me all about it. So this is absolutely perfect for her bedroom. I don't know if, you may not, if you've not been with me for a minute. Oh, this is a purple interference powder, and I'm just adding it for a little bit of extra boom. I home educate my kids. I say home educate, we are unschoolers. So we basically learn whatever my younger two fancy. I got 4 children in all. My oldest is 22, then I've got a 20-year-old. They don't live at home anymore. One's got his own place with his partner, and the other one's away in their final year of university. And then I've got a near 16-year-old and my near 12-year-old, who are both home, unschooled. So there we are. I now need my gloves because we need to move on to using a resin, which means magic. Yes. And I have my mixer, and we're going to ludicrous speed because we need it really well mixed. Oh yes, we do. We do. And to the mix, because where these colours are concerned, it's always best, especially with chameleons and any flakes, that the darker colours really do, especially black. And this is the mica powder I'm currently using. It comes in pouches, but I think I've said before, I managed to split it because I'm very, very, very clever. And I'm also very good at making messes as well, as you can see by there. But, if you might as well have it on camera when you're making a mess. And I'm also going to pop in some Super Sparkle White, which is from Tracy at Mini Scenes GB. And as I said, everything where possible is listed down below. So that's having a really good mix. And I've put it through the debubbler, and this is my Isopropanol Alcohol. It didn't come in this spray bottle. I get this spray bottle from Amazon. It is a fantastic one because of course it mists. This is important. It must be sprayed vigorously. And you should be wearing a mask. There's no you're spraying this stuff and you're spraying a lot of it. I have my Resiners Air Pro going as well. And just the moment I sprayed the isopropyl alcohol, it just went boom. So be wary of that. I do not mind at all the silver and any other colours for that matter coming up in the backs of these makes, because wind chimes will move around. So, although we're giving a much of the design to the front, I don't mind at all the backs looking really interesting as well, because being wind chimes, they're going to move and, get around. These aren't actually going to be hung outside. They're going to be hung on my daughter's bedroom ceiling. So there's no need to worry about, the sun ruining it. And it's the UK. We don't really get that hot here anyway. Subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing. If you're not a subscriber, please consider doing so. It is one click of a button, and all it does is it helps my channel be seen, which in turn allows for more great content. Well, I think it's great content. I think it's all right. It's not bad, is it? It's okay. I've also got channel membership, so if you want to take a look at that, it costs less than a coffee. And it's monthly, so there we are. I make an absolute mess pouring this. This is what happens when I do a pour on a pain day. I've been having a right old pain with my spine. So I'm just not as tidy as I usually am, and I was finding it really difficult to make sure it was nice and tidy. So I'm just doing my best, because the cleanup afterwards can be a pain in the bottom. So yeah, if you can, I think if I had mixed into maybe one of my paper cups or one of the like jugs with, the spout, I would have probably managed a much tidier job. And I'm just being honest, I really did struggle using the cup. And this Millennium Falcon, I know he is featuring a lot at the moment. I am a little bit obsessed. But this time I have just sprayed with Isopropanol Alcohol, and what that's doing with me adding the silver metallic, it just helps get into all the nooks and crannies a little bit easier. So, you know, that's helpful. That's helpful. And this will be another key ring. Well, I'm actually making them into Christmas decorations, but it's right at the beginning of November still, and I'm one of those who I don't like to talk Christmas. Yeah, I know, but still. So I'm giving it a good tap and a good wobble. And you can see there the bubbles coming up just by doing this little action. There's quite a bit of detail on that mould. I did consider making this Millennium Falcon part of the make, but as it's going in my daughter's bedroom, she's not a huge, you know, fan of Star Wars, so I wouldn't want to put it as part of the make. I prefer to use it by someone who's really going to appreciate that part of it. So, you know, I can probably, when I do make this mould up again, because as much as it took me forever to actually put it all together, I think I'm definitely going to be doing it a few times. So out comes the Millennium Falcon, and I love it. A little bit of tidying up to do here and there, but it is a matte mold, so it's not going to be super shiny. But then the Millennium Falcon isn't shiny anyway, because it's quite a bit of an old ship, isn't it? So I'm quite happy with the matte look. I will probably be finishing it off over the next few. Look at that. I love it. It is absolutely fabulous. I've been pouring it so many different ways, and it's the first time I've actually poured it as a metallic. So that one accidentally nearly popped out. I decided to try and clean the mould up a little bit before I demolded them. But out this one comes, and I am so pleased. It is so lovely. The colours are absolutely perfect, and whoop, just like that. Look how easy that was with the deburring tool. I actually ended up, I did put my heat mat on, but I ended up waiting until the following day anyway. So this is lovely and properly set, fully cured, so I didn't have to worry about any parts ripping off the piece. Often when you don't give your resin enough time to cure, you can sometimes end up ripping it a bit. But look at all the colours in there. It is so pretty. I'm really happy with the moon. And next I'll take out all the smaller pieces. We'll have a prop, but we'll be seeing plenty of them as we go along. I was so untidy. That's why I decided to try and give the mould a good clean over before taking them all out. Saves the mess on my mat as well a little bit. So they're all out, and I'm really loving them. But, you know, as I said, I was a little bit untidy when I poured all these, but it doesn't take much to clean them off, and you're good to go. So we're going to speed through all these just using the deburring tool. I also had my craft knife on hand, but I didn't need to use it at all. The deburring tool was absolutely perfect, and to be honest with you, I think had I just tweaked a few of the looser parts with my fingers, they would have come off. They would have flaked off quite easily. But of course, this means that you can ensure that there's no like sharp edges or anything. And I do off camera, once I'm done, I do actually back these with a little bit of UV resin, just clear UV resin, because I thought it looked better. But that was an afterthought once I'd done it all. If you do happen to order this mould from Temu, it is worth screenshotting, doing a screenshot of the actual wind chime, so you have a good idea in your head of how it's made. I decided, the mould, by the way, doesn't come with any attachments, doesn't come with any of like the fishing wire or anything like that. So I decided to opt for hoops, jump hoops in particular, and chain. And it's just jewellery chain. You can buy them from Temu. And this is the way I've decided to go. So I'm adding all the jump hoops. I'm not going to sit you through all of this because frankly, this took me forever. It really did take me. I am having some pretty high pain days with my neck and my back, so it really did take me a minute to get it done. So it's just a case. The chain is on a long. It comes like on a wheel of cardboard. So you just need your snippers, and you can cut it at any length that you like. And then I'm using a few different size jump hoops and deciding what way I want them to go. But if you actually go by the picture that is on Temu, there's actually more parts on the picture than you actually get on the mould, so bear that in mind. And I do end up casting just one extra small star just to balance it out nicely for the way I needed it to look, so always bear that in mind. We all know I'm not great with this part. When it comes to like jewelry making and putting all the pieces together, I am not the biggest fan. I'm really not. I love creating the things, but I'm not the biggest fan of actually like applying the hardware, so to speak. So I'm a little bit clumsy, and quite a few times I do like drop, or I do accidentally manage to twist them a bit too much. Things like that. And it's also worth knowing that I will also put a little dab of UV resin at all the joints to ensure that these pieces are not going to go anywhere, and that really does help a lot. You can do it with a blob of glue if you so wish, but I personally find that doing it just with a little blob of the UV resin is much more helpful. I'm probably doing this the right. Would it have been easier for me to have created the design, the droppy bits and stuff, and then attach them to the moon? Potentially, but we all know me. My brain doesn't work that way. I'm doing as I'm going. I'm working as I'm going, and it's just the way my brain works. So please don't tell me off in the comments. You do you and I'll do me, but this is just the way that my brain got me to walk through this part, so that I could figure out the lengths and all that stuff. But although I'm not a big fan of attaching hardware and stuff, I thoroughly enjoyed making this. I really did. See? Clumsy. I really did enjoy making this. And I think it's because I didn't bother with pulling out the fish wire, fish strip, whatever you call it, the clear rubbery plasticky stuff. I think it works so much better with getting some chain and doing it this way. I think it suits it. I think it really does. And of course you can get these chains in all sorts of colours. The set I bought actually came with silver, antique, bronze and gold. Really touch the gold. I really don't like gold, but it really works, and it's not expensive. And as you can see, there's a big old pile of it there. So consider doing that if you are going to make one of these, maybe. It's not too difficult to figure it out, but this is why I'm constantly coming back and forth and making sure I'm lining them up, because I don't want them to match completely. And the one that I'm actually doing right now, I do end up snipping and changing the length on it so it didn't line up too much with the star that is next to it, just because it looked better being the slightly different length. So yeah, it's always worth it. And you can see how clumsy, so clumsy, keep dropping it, but we get there. I do get there. I do have to work slowly on this, and I'm aware some of you like to see the entire process, but it really was a long process. So I did, for the sake of sanity and for the memory on my phone, I did have to stop recording at points and then come back to you once I got past certain parts. And don't forget, do not forget, please don't forget, don't ever forget, don't pull the jump rings apart, twist, do the little twist so you don't shout. I know, I'm a genius, I'm a musical genius. I also found, I'd forgotten that I had a bunch of like little charms that are space based. I actually bought them originally so I could make my daughter some earrings, some little studs with like the shooting stars and stuff on, and I still had some, and they end up being absolutely perfect for putting on these. Really, I have some little stars and stuff like that left, so it's always worth having a look in your stash and seeing what you do have available, and you'll see. I know, I keep dropping it. It is always worth checking your stash of stuff to see if you've got anything else that you could potentially, add in. And I do raid my jar of buttons as well to help, and we'll see that in a little while. So I found one of the shooting stars, but I end up using that on a different part of the make. So I think it's easier to just attach one of the stars. It's like a little shaped star just to the bottom of it. There is the option of potentially filling it with some maybe coloured UV resin if you fancy, but I quite like the idea of it being as it is and just dangling there quite prettily. So yeah, it's definitely worth checking out your stash to see what you have. And of course, the majority of the charms that let's face it, all of us are buying and finding, they're cheap as chips on Temu. And if you're not a big fan of Temu, you can find them on Amazon for using, or if you're lucky enough to have a really good craft shop. I don't have that amount of luck where I live. You can't find things that are so pointed in the you're not gonna find this time of year like star stuff. It's like the charms and stuff, the shops just don't stock it where I live. But isn't that pretty? Just a cute little star, and it helps, because it means that I didn't have to go making loads of little extra ones. So I've just reshaped one of the hoops, and I found one of the, it's from my beads jar. You can see a couple of beads sitting on my desk, and I was fiddling about and figuring out which one to use, and I decided to go for this one, and then I'm gluing that shooting star onto the bead. It's just another some little something which adds to it. Now, I do use the green stuff glue, and afterwards as well, just to make absolutely sure it's not going anywhere, I also add a bit of UV resin. So this is the extra one I done because I didn't have enough of the littlest shapes, and then I've glued on one of the little rocket ships from the same set. If I can find that charms set that I did buy from Temu, I will link it, but I am still looking at the moment. It's been a while, so I'm not entirely sure if I did even get it from Temu. But if I find it, it will be listed down below. So this is the top end of the moon, and by now I have finished all the bottom ones. And as you can see, this the mould with the larger moon comes with all the holes already in place for you, which is very, very handy. And because some of the particular the middle dot of the top one is set so far back, I should say, sorry, that I didn't have any jump hoops big enough, so I was able to feed the chain through instead. So that was just a little bit of a difference that I had to do with that. I also added another little star charm to the one that's already attached. And then of course this is the extra little star that I made. And I didn't actually cast this one with epoxy resin. I did this one in a few layers using UV resin because the mould is really good for the see-through-y. So I do actually quite like that. And it's interesting to know that it's really, really doable with your UV resin as well. So I decided, because I had one larger piece left, I decided to make it a feature for the last part, for the hanging piece. So I'm going to attach these just like that. And I've also found a few more little charms that have no hoops on them. That's how they came, and I've glued them onto this piece, and I think it looks really lovely. Really, really pleased with that. So as I said, I've used some UV resin and put a little dot on each of the joints, just so I know that it's not going to come crashing down. I'm thinking of the weight and it moving, you know, with a window open potentially or anything like that. So I'm going to show you this hanging up in my daughter's room so we can see it all at its full length. And there it is. I'm really, really pleased with this. It's not going to be hanging directly above her head. I haven't put Mr. Goblin needs to put the hook into the ceiling for her. So I've just hung it on the edge of her shelf just to show you this hanging in a room. And as you can see, it really does suit what she loves. And it's really pretty in all the colours. And as you can see, when it's turning, because of the way the silver came up once I poured the UV resin, it looks epoxy resin. I think it looks absolutely fantastic, even when it's turning around, you know, with the difference in the colours. I really hope you enjoyed watching this and that you're inspired. Yes, it took a minute to make, it really did, but it's worth it. And the best thing is, my daughter absolutely loves it, and she's chuffed that Mum made it just for her. Love you, and stay weird.
Stay weird, stay wild, no need to fear. She molds her dreams with resin and clay. Whimsical wonders brighten the day. Stay wonderfully weird, let your colors unfold. Frogs and dragons, stories untold. Crocodiles dance in a resin sea. Stay weird, stay wild, stay beautifully free. She paints the night with the dragon's flame. In her hands the world's never the same. Frogs in hats and crocodiles grin, each creation a spark where dreams begin. Stay warm.